All right, hey, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. Welcome to the finale of the USS Discovery Ensemble, I guess is the best way of stating it. Star Trek Discovery Ensemble. Welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. We are working on the base of these four models: the Shenzhou, the Enterprise, the Discovery, and the USS Glenn. And I want to put sound with this one, so I've been playing around with some things online to see if I can't get this done. This is what this sounds like. Oh.
All vessels, Leland's fleet has arrived.
That's all I'm going to play due to the issues. And what this is, and hopefully you can see this on my phone, this is a TF card U-Disc player, MP3 decoder player module with audio amplifier, audio decoding player module, micro USB 5-volt power supply. And what's included in this is a mono out, so you can see the two monos out here. You also have, if you had a 3mm jack, you could plug that in. It has a USB power supply here, a USB power supply here for micro power supply, and then it can take up to a 16 gigabyte card, and you can get those for $5-6 these days. So this card runs like $6 or $5.49 on Amazon. Again, it's the TF card U-Disc Play MP3 decoder. It takes about a month to come in because they come from China. So one of my challenges is to how to set this into the base. And before we move on, I'd just like to say thank you for tuning into the Sloppy Modeler. And if you like what you see, I'd like to ask you to hit that like button or subscribe. Watch to the end because that helps the algorithm if you don't mind. And we're going to have an exciting reveal here towards the end here. But we're working on the base on this. So that card is very cool. I've went to my local hobby shop, hobby supply store is probably a better phrase, and picked up just this box here. I guess home decor from Hobby Lobby. $11, $12, and it was half price, so I got it for $6-7 there. So I've already screwed in or drilled in the holes for the buttons, because one of the things I have to do is this, as you can see here, these four buttons here are your play, pause, previous, next, and repeat mode. And what I'm going to do is remove these, not remove them, I'm just going to wire in momentary switches, which I did pick up. Here's a good example of those. Basically, this is just a real simple momentary switch, and that will do the same thing. So I'm just going to wire from here down to these, and then affix this just somewhere in the bottom here, probably like right there, if you will. So we'll get that put into place. These are really nice, these buttons. Once you get them in and screwed down, they're going to look just dynamite in there. So there'll be 4 cross, and then this is the power button, which I'll put in at the same time. So anyway, very excited about that opportunity. The next step is I have to, I was just using this for a sound, but I think if I just put this in like so, and then I'm just going to glue that speaker in, probably put it in like that. What I have to do next is actually drill through. I've got my 2-inch hole saw right here, or 1.5 inch rather. I'm just going to drill through there, and we'll put the speaker there. But then the next challenge becomes, well, how do you deal with the the overview? So also at Hobby Lobby, I picked this up, and what I intend to do is remove this plastic out of here. I'll just cut that out, and then glue in a black canvas or a black style cloth over that, and then I'll mount that just like that. And so that will give me a trim ring to go over that speaker, and hopefully there'll be a bit of reverberation through there to give it a little bit of a better spot. Then the next step after that is the power supply. So this is a 5200 milliamp 18.72 watt hours, a 52 milliamp T520 from a company called Luxtude, Luxtude. And the cool thing about this is that it has dual USB outlets. You can recharge it. I picked up these really nice, this is a really nice short USB right angle to go into that. And then I can come out of here and power all the lights for the 4 ships with another USB cable like I've been doing, and that will give me light and so forth, and then I'll wire that to the power button there. So also very cool on a lot of this stuff coming together. So very excited about where we're at so far, where we're coming along on this. Then the next step is what to mount on this. So what I did is also went to Hobby Lobby and grabbed this globe, and what I'm going to do is pull the globe out of its base and stand. I'm going to take my 2-inch or 1.5-inch hole saw and drill the bottom out, and then set that on the base. Set that on the base so it'll be just the globe right here, and then drill my 4 holes into here for my stands, for my brass tubes that are going into each of the ships, and then we'll wire that down through here, and then we'll be able to put this in here and glue that in, or Velcro it in is a better idea so that you can easily get to it to recharge it, pull that out. So that is the game plan at the moment. Now, whether or not that gets executed, well, that's going to be a challenge, and then we'll see. So the other thing I'm going to do is I will go back into the paint booth and prime this, and I may consider doing a photo of some sort, or a graphic that I would do decoupage over this. I think that's the right word, where you put you glue it down and then you put lacquer over it. But I am going to paint this. I'm probably going to paint that. I might leave that white for this one here, so I think that might look good, but the top's got to be painted or dealt with. So we'll see how that comes together too, but definitely excited about moving this project forward. We are coming close to a conclusion on it. It's been a long route, but that's okay. We're having some fun. So again, if you like what you see, hit that like button, but we'll be back with you after a little more work on this to get all this wired up. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Okay, welcome back. We are working on the sound module, and I will try to put a link down there. If not, I'll put it in the description of where this board comes from. Again, this will take up to a 16 gigabyte micro SD card. It is just mono unless you go to the 3.5 millimeter out, but that has to go out to a powered speaker. It has a 5 volt in via USB, and that's what I'm using here via USB, or you can power it by the USB A module there. So I don't need to do either of those. This will work fantastic here. Now what I'm doing is I am adding a momentary switch and doing the wiring and doing the soldering onto these four, I'm trying to keep my head out of the photo here, onto these 4 buttons. And I've already done one, and that is what this is right here. And I've wired this out, and I'll have to take this off to put it in the base, but this is proof of concept. This works amazing. So this is a momentary switch. That's why I'm using both greens, because there's neither positive nor negative. It's just a momentary contact. And then I'm working across the pads here that are on these little buttons. So I'm going to very simply, this is really quite easy. I just did the first one, but this should go the same way. Down on the pad. Warm the pad up a little bit, and a little solder, and that is wired right there. So, and using this wrapping wire, what I have found to strip that. It's just a little bit of the heat. And the tin there, and you are good. And then using my helper hand here, same process, come in. And hopefully get that down onto the board. I'm going to try to spin this down a little bit so you guys can see it maybe a little better. There we go. Let's try that. And then down again onto the pad, just like so. I hope you can see that. I think you can. But basically, like I said, we're right down onto the pad of that switch module where it's been soldered onto that. And both switches will work. I'm just working on just extending it out to my switches that'll go on the base for this. It's not terribly complicated, and that pad makes a pretty nice spot to solder to. And just warming up the pad. Now, that made me a liar how easy this is, right? So nope, missed it. Still missed it because I don't have good contact with that. There we go. And those are now on. So what I can do is take that out to the next momentary switch. And I'm not going to wire these in now because I've got to put them in the base first, but momentary, it's just push on, and then you're in and running. So I don't know if this will show. I hate to turn this on because it's got copyrighted music from Star Trek Discovery, but maybe if I just play 6 or 7 seconds of this. Sorry for the fumbles, folks. This is proof of concept in the works. So you can see there just how nice that works from the momentary switch. And I've tested it on the volume, and that works. So I will go ahead and add these other 2 wires. And it looks like a big wire mess, but it'll tidy up when we get the switch on and so forth. And right now I've got it wired out to the speaker, etc. So but still, I didn't know if this would work at all, and it works, and it really seems to be working nicely, and if not a little ungainly at the moment, I see that. But there's our 4 wires coming off the one side, and I'll have 4 wires coming off of the other, of course. And so again, the same thing, connect it here. Oh. Hold it in place, and then put our wire back in. Again, I pre-cut these to 12 inches of length. I'm not going to need 12 inches of wire underneath there, but I will need some. So, and I'm just stripping, you can see I'm just stripping off just that, you know, it's probably an 1/8 of an inch at most, and then bending it to my will. There, so there's another one done. Got one more piece of wire here. Trying to heat the pad. I'm still not getting that done. Let's try this. There we go. Now that one is complete. So there's 3 of the 4 buttons have been processed. And then one last wire here. Oh, didn't work. Okay, hold on. There we go. Yep. So, I have now bastardized this particular sound card. Then connecting my wires on that. Didn't feel like any of that stuff got too hot, which is awesome. I'll put my sound card back in. And then put my power back in. And those 4 buttons stand for repeat, this is like play, pause, mode, next, previous, volume down, and volume up. So with all of those, that should work fantastically in my bass for sound. So that's the sound chip that goes into this. And again, like I said, I'll put a link, and it's on Amazon. I'll put a link into that, and I can't tell you how excited I am that that worked out. Unplug my soldering iron, And we are on target to make more progress with the USS Discovery Ensemble kit as the base comes together. So I will talk to you again as soon as we make more progress. Thanks. Okay, we are getting dangerously close to completing our USS Glenn. We have made significant progress on the base. Very excited about where we're at with that. Maybe just a quick overview. So we do have our Luxtude, and they make a 5,000 milliamp version and a this is, I think, is a 10,000 10,000 milliamp, 36 watt hours, 5 volt, 2 amps, 2 full amps come out of this. So I'm not going to use that. I'm going to continue to use this piece here. But what you're seeing next is I've got this wired in as far as the board for the sound. My speaker is wired in. I've got one of the duals coming out, and then I've taken another cable here, and I have put one red wire to the switch, and now I need to come off of that with another red wire, which is then going to be feeding the wire that's going to come out of the wire that is coming out of the globe. And essentially all that really is we're going to have 4 hots, 4 positives, and 4 negatives, 4 reds, 4 blacks that are going to come out of that. And ultimately what we're going to do is tie that into one wire of red, tie those 4 hots together, and tie those 4 blacks together. And ultimately what will happen is that that'll tie to this negative here with some shrink wrap, and it'll tie to this positive here with some shrink wrap, and that should give us all the light that we're looking for or need in this particular build. And so right now all I'm doing is just coming in here and soldering to the base. That second bulb there. So now basically we've got the 2 lights there, and then I can plug this into the second. And again, these have 2 outputs and 1 input, and I can always easily recharge this by plugging in another USB cable to my USB outlets, and we are up and running. So just real quick, I'll flip this over to show you kind of the next step. Here's our power button that is that turns on and off, and then here are our 4 buttons for play, pause, play and pause, reverse, volume down, reverse volume, or forward volume up, and then to repeat if you want to convert this to a repeat. If I did this again, and I will do this again, I won't put the repeat button in there. That's not something that I would use very frequently. Looks kind of cool on this, but in essence what we've done now is we've got the globe ready to go, and that will go on like so. And I'm waiting for, they're almost dry, but they need to dry a little longer. I've painted these green, as you can see, and so they're actually dry. I've painted them green, and we're ready to mount the ships to it. I'll epoxy those in, and I am going to put just as a little piece of trim around this. I've got, from the switches that I didn't use, I've got these O-rings here. So my intent, hopefully, is to put that on like that, use my epoxy, and we'll drive that in a little further, and that will drive down right to that and give us a little bit of a trim approach on that, just a tiny one. and that should be then drive all the wires down. One set of wires coming out to the bottom, and voila, we are making good progress. So let me go back to work on this. You can see that I'm getting extremely close, very pleased with a lot of this, and once we're done with that, we will be back with you as far as once we get some of this wiring done. We'll talk to you in a bit. Alright, so what you're looking at here is the completed USS Discovery from Star Trek Ensemble, and went up to the living room here and used my kitchen table or my dining room table, and that is my backdrop for this evening's review of the base and review of the models themselves. So we're just doing a long sweep here from left to right of all four models, and you can see that we've got the Glenn there right in front of us, the Shenzhou behind it. Of course, to the far back you've got the Discovery and the Enterprise. Coming along here, there's the Enterprise. This is all in the daylight or brightly lit daylight, if you will. I'm really pleased with the way that the white base turned out. Those 4 switches or 5 switches look really nice. And very excited about this sweeping shot of the USS Glenn at NCC 1030. I particularly like the color of the Glenn that I chose over the color of the Discovery. I think that that dark line through the neck really looks fantastic. And I think here, as the take another shot of the actual Glenn, it looks like that copper really pops around the window area. So below that white line on the top of the saucer, it definitely looks much more like copper, and I think you can really see the difference now in how dark that particular neck is, and the decals really turned out fantastic. Coming around to the Shenzhou here, this is something that it was a lot of fun, but boy, it was tiny. And I will say this looks so tiny and angry when you get to the back of it, when you see all of that red from the impulse engines and from the nacelles. Really gives it a tough little mean, menacing look, and that's a little bit unusual for a Star Trek ship. Coming around here to the USS Discovery, again, you can see those blue intakes here for the blue intake impulse engines, and then coming around, and we've got the red impulse engines that I didn't use any photo etch over that. And again, this looks so much darker to me, and it just really, the colors just don't pop like they do on the USS Glenn that we did as well. Again, one more shot here of the USS Glenn, and definitely of the base. You can see how that globe really turned out fantastic. I'm thrilled with it for my own purposes. And using that green on the supports turned out really nice, and then the bright white for the base I think turned out pretty good. Alright, we're going to go ahead and turn the lights out now and take a look at this in the dark. Here's kind of a sweep from the right, or from the left to the right now. Again, we've got the USS Glenn in the front with those red intakes and the blue impulse engines. And I will say this, I think that those nacelles turned out really nice. Same along with the Enterprise coming into view. That happens to be, you know, a real close cousin to my favorite ship, the TOS Enterprise. And I think that that does a real nice tribute to that particular ship. Coming around here from the right to the left, you can see the Shenzhou in the dark now. And I think this is where you're going to see the most dramatic fire in the back of this little ship. I think you can see how red that looks, just basically with the nacelles lit up, and then coming into view, you can really start to see how nice that the bridge to the USS Glenn looks at this stage. But again, one more view of that back of that Shenzhou really gives you an idea of how much red impulse power is behind that little ship right there. Here we go, coming across the USS Discovery, and again, I think the bridge turned out really nice using the microcrystal clear. I really like the front of the Bassard collectors with that blue, and then the red of the impulse engines coming around. And I'm really quite pleased with the nacelles here on the Discovery. Even though you've got a lot of bright coming back from those lights in the front, I think they light up far enough all the way from the front to back that I'm pretty pleased with that. I think that then you have the Enterprise there with its sweep where the registry is makes a big difference. Coming across here, this is the USS Glenn, and here's a good example of what those impulse engines look like with the photo etch cover on top of them, and then with the bridge coming into view here at the top of that particular model. Also, you can see in the background there on the USS Discovery the white planetary sensor dome. I think that turned out really fantastic. Same as well as on the Enterprise itself. Using that white primer on the underside of that really allows for a nice cloud figure to come through, and makes for a nice look. Here's a little photo of the base. You can see where I used just a black cloth. I glued that to the bottom. I glued that to the bottom of the top of the base, and then went ahead and affixed my speaker onto that. I think that turned out really nice, and you'll hear in a little bit when I play just a short tune how really quality that sound is. I'm absolutely astounded by it. And of course then you can see the 4 buttons for the play and pause and reverse and forward and repeat come into play. And then I did actually use self-printing water slide decals. I went ahead and got some water slide decal photo paper and then used that, and those turned out amazingly nice, and very excited about how that turned out. And of course I really like the sweep into the globe here. I think that turned out pretty nice. It reminds me of some of the photos or some of the imagery from the original series. So in the dark, one of the last shots here of the full ensemble, and you know, I do like the fact that I put the United States and South America here to the front, and I didn't use a whole bunch of other markings and so forth on the base. I just think that turned out really nice, along with the green supports and the trim of the red or trim of the black little O-rings that went over that. I think are a nice touch just for a finished look. It turned out pretty fantastic, as a matter of fact. So and here is my final shot with the Enterprise, and this is, in my opinion, the iconic shot of seeing the Enterprise come around a planet, and that's just a shot that I've loved for. So let's take a moment and actually listen to what that speaker system sounds like. I was very pleased to put it in place. It sounds amazing. I'm going to play just a little short 15-second clip, but I want to show you, or I want you to hear the quality of that speaker and that little sound card. So without further ado, here is the speaker on the bass.
Damage report. 3% Fuel 9 and 10. Not confirmed yet. Fuel's at 86%. Fuel's at 82%.
We have a breach on deck 12. Emergency bulkhead engaged successfully.
So hopefully that won't kill us with the copyright gods. I don't think there's enough music in it to do it. I'll pull it if it is. Final shot here of the moving USS Discovery Ensemble. And this is in low light from a lower position on the camera. And again, I'm just thrilled to have had this done. So I am very grateful that you guys came along with me on the finale. Thank you so much for your patronage. Thank you so much for your subscriptions and your likes. I appreciate it greatly. If you would hit that bell button to get notification for the next video coming up, I would appreciate that as well. And watching to the end is always beneficial to the algorithms there. An incredible piece of work for me. You know, it took almost 7 or 8 months to do this with COVID. But for the most part, I'm very excited the way this turned out, and I'm glad to be able to share it with you. So until then, we will talk to you in the next video. Thank you.